everyone. Welcome back to episode 47 of the Talk to Fame podcast. I'm Kylie. Today we have on the amazing actor and on-air personality, Kyle Edwards. Thanks so much for calling, Kyle. I'm so happy to have you on.
Absolutely, Kylie. Thank you for having me. What a lovely day we have today. A nice
Of
Zoom
course.
chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the last kind of 2 years, we kind of been in isolation. So what is something that you did over the last 2 years and kind of what I had time to do for?
Yes. So what a wild last 2 years, Kylie. It's actually weird timing. So I moved from St. Louis, Missouri to Los Angeles in December of 2019. So I got my feet kind of wet out here for a couple months before it got crazy. But let me take a look at my notes here. It was a great time for me to. It's actually I kind of feel bad because it was like I enjoyed that first year. I know things were going crazy, but I got really into surfing out here. I had time to do it. I got really back into making some art that I've been slipping on for a while, which actually, hey, what up? Oh, it's all blurred. You can't see.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So the surfing and art were kind of the fun things because, I didn't really know too many people out here. So the people I did meet, I kind of got to get to know them better. But to be fully honest, the biggest thing I did out here was work and set myself up for things that are going on now. And that it sounds really weird because it's like, yes, things were definitely shut down,
Yeah.
but there was still work to be had, and it mostly was generating it myself and looking at what was available. And when I mean work in the industry. I don't mean just general work, because the job I had a job out here. It was, you got to make money out here in every way you can. You got to have it coming in from different sources. So I had a part-time job giving out yogurt to people in LA, like this really fancy like Greek yogurt. It was delicious, right?
Yeah.
But it was a silly job. And of course, with the pandemic hitting, giving out yogurt was like the first thing to get cut. So it was like that job had to go. So I had this time where it's like, yes, I was getting a little money, but what are you going to do with your time? And that's where the surfing, the art, and a few other things came in. But I primarily used my time wisely to find, because like everything was shut down, but at the same time, content's still getting made, both like professionally, like, movies did kind of shut down, but some were still getting made. Commercials still got to get made. So while it was different than the usual hustle and bustle of this, I had time to figure out what process works best for me in order to, kind of book this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Since like the whole world shut down in March of 2020, I was literally in Los Angeles about a month and a half before COVID, even kind of before everything kind of shut down to the point where everything kind of shut down. So I was like, well, I'm happy I went to LA before everything shut down, because I usually go to LA at least like once a year, depending. I love Los Angeles and I have some friends out there, so I like to go visit some of them and stuff. And I was like, with this whole work, like when it shut down, people are always like, what are we gonna do with ourselves? Like, what are we supposed to do to keep ourselves occupied and busy, since we're used to doing like routines, working, like doing basically our daily routines every single day. Now we're stuck at home every single day. So a lot of people, including me, thought like, oh, what are we supposed to do with ourselves? And
exactly.
So
yeah. Super weird, right? I know, because we had like our set. Everyone was like, oh, I either do this job or I get up at this time and I do this. And then it's like, well, what happens when you can't do that? And I guess some people navigated it through Zoom with work or work from home, which is cool. But I was actually just discussing this with a friend. I think we're going to look back on it. A lot of people, I think, are going to have changed. I don't know if this is true or not, but I would gander a decent amount of people after that break realized that they did not enjoy what they were doing beforehand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they either got to reconnect with family, friends, find a new hobby, or realize that their 9 to 5 or whatever grind they were doing wasn't it for them, which I think is pretty fascinating. So in a way, it gave me the time to realize that I like what I'm doing, or I don't know if I'm phrasing that right, but because I wasn't stuck in a job I didn't like, but I think it's kind of fascinating on a big macro scale to look at like, the workforce kind of changed, and
Yeah.
people no longer want to do that 2-hour commute to the office, come back. And so I think that's fascinating, but that's on a totally different tangent.
Yeah, so like when the whole world shut down, like everyone's like stuck at home, they didn't know what to do, and so they like, and plus they couldn't see their families. That was really the hardest kind of part for me because all my family in Pennsylvania live about like a 20-minute like distance from me, so they're not that far away. So I couldn't like kind of see them a lot. Yeah, like I couldn't see them until 3 months after the pandemic hit. So I didn't see them for 3 months after. And
Yeah,
so it was very depressing for me since I'm very close to my family. It's just like
sure.
my family, so like my immediate family, like my siblings, my parents, or my grandmother. So and everyone was very conscious. So that was like the hardest part for me. And so like,
Hmm.
I literally did like Zoom calls at least like once a week with my family to say,
Right,
be like, Kylie, join Zoom calls. So
right. A
I
little.
spent like most of 2020 doing Zoom calls and talking to my friends and everything. So that was kind of like a tough year, basically a low time year to kind of relax and basically enjoy myself while I have it because I didn't know how long it was gonna take. Yeah, I thought
Right.
it was gonna be a couple of weeks. I thought it would last, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. So I
No,
didn't.
that's so funny you say that, because I remember when this first hit, I was like, damn, this might be a big deal. And then it went, but I was like, surely it'll be just a couple months. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I think the silver lining in it was, for me, like, my family's in Missouri, so not kind of close to Pennsylvania. So so I was here from December to, I'd say, April. And then I spent April to mid-June, basically 2.5, 3 months back in Missouri. And it was the first time, like, I have a twin brother. It was the first time him and I and my mom and dad all lived together for the last like 5 years. And it was, in hindsight, like really a unique time. That'll probably never happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I took up on that. And then it was kind of a blessing to come here when I did, because I had those 4 months of meeting a few people out here, which I think is a really good piece of advice for anyone moving halfway or all the way across the country knowing no one, is really try to find like a core group of people, like at least a few that you can lean into. Because when I came back, those were the first people I was like, hey, I'm back, and no one really knows me out here. I was like, what are you guys doing? So it was super interesting. Yeah, I agree how the whole thing worked out.
Yeah, for sure. And as you kind of mentioned, your twin brother. Like I'm
Yeah.
actually a twin myself too.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm a twin brother too. So
Yes. We
yeah,
love that. We love a set of twins.
yeah, seriously, what's better than said twins? It's seriously.
Yeah, that's it. You never know, but he's fraternal. He's like 6'2".
So
He's
is
not
my
in the
brother
image.
actually 6'2", and
That's,
he's 15 years old. Actually,
yeah,
well,
that's
15 years old.
crazy.
Yeah, he's 6'2", I'm 15.
Yeah, no, he's cool. We get along great, but for twins, very different personalities. He could never do what I'm doing out here, and he's an accountant, nor would I ever want to do that life.
Yeah, my
Different
brother
stuff.
is into sports,
Hmm.
like fighting movies, like kind of shooting movies, kind of like action movies, and all those kind of sporty things. While I'm just interested in gender bias and entertainment
Yeah.
industry, that's like what I'm interested in, movie shows, everything that goes on with entertainment. So we're very different kind of people in
Oh,
terms
I
of
love it. I
personalities.
love it.
Yeah, so as I kind of mentioned before, you're an actor. What made you kind of want to start doing that?
Yes. So I kind of find it an interesting journey that I got to this point, really. So growing up, I remember when I was 11, there was a commercial on TV, and they have these everywhere all over the country. They're just those like spam commercials that's like, want to be an actor, call this number. Like, if you're a child actor, call this number. And I remember seeing that, thinking like, I want to call that number. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to call that number. I never did call that number, and I never brought it up. But I just, even younger, from 11, I always, and I didn't have this fully fleshed out thought, until later, but I saw people who were acting, and I saw that they got to make people really happy. People would talk about them, and not that I wanted that. I didn't have a huge ego, and I hope I don't have one now, but they would talk about them. They had the ability to create happiness in some way, from people just watching the performance, and then the ability to be captured on film. And just, I loved that. And I didn't, trust me, at 11, I wasn't thinking this, but that was like the initial concept, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I also find it kind of interesting that I never was drawn to theater work. I did a couple theater camps when I was a kid, but the theater never really held much for me. It didn't do it for me. So it was only when I was about 16, late, almost 17, so kind of later in the game, that I got my first agent out here. And that's when I was like, okay, let me try this out. Let me just see, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't wake up at 12 and was like, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to run a company. You know what I mean? I didn't have that, which is how I ended up with a degree in elementary school teaching. Maybe one day that pans out, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just knew I liked teaching. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. But it wasn't like the dream. And so going back to that original question, so at 17, I got my first agent. And it was after booking my first commercial, my first job, that I was like, oh, so we can get paid for this. And it's not that much work. And it was just a commercial, which is like, and it was a small commercial, but it was like that little spark that I was like, all right. And I've always been someone who likes, if I put my mind to something, right? If I really want it, I find a way to get it. That's kind of what happened with like the Wienermobile job. I really wanted that job. And it wasn't just like I wanted it. It was like I backed it up with like a great cover letter, a good interview, did my research, you know what I mean? So with the acting thing, I thought, if I can, let's see where this goes. Let's see, someone from Missouri with no credits, no people that I know in the industry. Let's see what we can do. So it was after that first commercial. And then into college, I was doing a little more work. I got a job at the Polar Express in St. Louis. And, honestly, this is going to sound silly, but so my first job was at a Chuck E. Cheese, an arcade, right? That was my first job at 16. It was actually, it was quite fun, because it was everyone from my high school worked there. And it was pretty low key, it's Chuck E. Cheese. But when I was 16 and 17 would host the party. So, the kids would come in and host parties. So that was, looking back on my life in hindsight, my first taste of, I have the ability to make someone's day with what I have, with what I internally have. Like, yes, there's a show, a Chuck E. Cheese birthday show. It's not Broadway, but I can create, based on my personality and the things I do. If I go out of the way to do this, if I give the kids a big ticket in front of the parents, what is that? It basically little things. So I think in my history of life, that job was the very first hosting/acting job I ever had. And not only did I love it, because there were parts of that job I did not enjoy, trust me, but I enjoyed the party part, because you could visually see someone become happy from the work you did. And then in turn, and this is one of the biggest things, more money came my way in the form mostly of tips. So I was like, oh, okay, hold on here. So I can get paid more for putting this on. So that was kind of the start. And then I got an agent, then I got a commercial. And then there was many times I put the gas pedal, I put it up a bit. I didn't push it down. But when I pushed it down, things started happening. And for someone kind of semi-confused like me, especially about college, and, I wanted to get out to LA when I was 18, but I had no money. That was kind of the start. And then, Wienermobile job hit. That was basically Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is the ability to make someone happy every single day. And then it was just a great combination of it. I want to be out in LA, and I want to give this a run, and let's see where we end up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as like a little 13-year-old kid, for 2 years, people always told me. Well, I started this podcast when I was 14, so it's kind of a couple months before I turned 14.
That's amazing. That's amazing, by the way. It's very cool, Kylie.
Thank you. And so for 2 years, I often got people will come up to me, either family and friends or people that my parents know, and they always say Kylie, journalism will be perfect for you, since you know a lot about sports and the entertainment industry. Every time people ask me questions, I would get all of them right, because I knew every single thing going on. And so if people think that's kind of insane, I know other stuff, to me it's not insane.
Right.
But since I'm in love with the industry. I always knew I wanted to be in the industry, but I never knew what I wanted to be, since I was always an independent and very shy, anxious, really girl who had no self-confidence at all. So I was like, I was a girl in a small town in Pennsylvania. I was supposed to do a podcast. That's not a thing. That's not a thing people did in my town.
Right. So, no, 100. That's like one of my favorite quotes is from Jenna Fisher's book, and she's like saying you want to be an actor from, but you're from Missouri is like saying you want to be a professional surfer in Missouri. It's like it's just people are like, what? Yeah, but you're doing it. Yeah, you're doing it, and that's amazing, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, people are like random, like that's very random. But like I have two cousins that are journalists from my local news station, so I basically grew up watching them. And my Rennie, she been doing this for a couple of years now, and so I always looked up to her, and she's my godmother, I should say. She is my godmother. I don't know if people like to use the term godmother. I'll say it's like a mom as a kind of little quote there, but I always wanted to be what she does, and so she was always someone that I was like, okay, whatever she does, I'll do too. It's like she's like a little kind of leader. I'll say to me, and I'll be like, okay, she's doing that, so I'm going to do that too. Even if she's doing like a drink or something, I'm going to do that. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that too. And so like I usually followed her around everywhere. And if you see a picture of me of when I was younger, it was Christmas Eve. I was probably about 4 years old at the time. I don't know how old exactly what I was, but I was very young. And so I remember we took a family picture. I used to remember everyone's smiling at the camera, looking exactly at the camera, but I'm the person that's like looking away. I was not looking at the camera. I was just looking at my aunt, Rennie. What's she doing? She's smiling, and I was like,
yeah, she's smiling. I gotta smile.
I was even looking in the picture. I'll try to find a picture that says to you, but I was not looking at the camera. I was a full person. Everyone's got the camera but me.
So that is hilarious.
And like. And now I see the picture. I see like a blue spot. I'm thinking to myself, what am I staring at? Like, what am I staring at? Everyone's looking at the picture, but I'm not looking at the picture.
Yes. Oh my God.
Now I was thinking, probably looking at my Aunt Rennie, I guess. I don't know what I was looking at. Maybe I was just in my own world dreaming. I'm not sure.
Hey, who knows?
Yeah, you may never know. But,
that's really great, Kylie. I love that.
So you are the host of Live Play Bingo. What's kind of like for you to do that?
So what a fun job this is. This was the job that brought me back from Missouri to Los Angeles to do an audition for this. Live Play Bingo, world's first and only 24 7-hour game show. So if some people might remember, HQ Trivia was a big thing about 7-ish years ago. It was where everyone played trivia at the same time. This is basically, you can play bingo any time of the day, any hour, any day, and there'll be a live host. So it's me, and it sounds, it's one of those things you kind of have to see to like get the gist of it, because it's, what do you mean, you're just calling bingo numbers? Yes, I am calling bingo numbers, but we're telling stories, we're laughing, we're smiling, we're dancing a little bit. It's interactive, and it started during the pandemic, and it's a way to go on your app. It's an app on the iPhone, Android, whatever. You log in, and it's like, oh, Kylie Montgomery's hosting. It's like, oh my God, I love Kylie. She's so fun. And then I would log in and you'd be like, oh, hey, Kyle, welcome back. And I'd be like, Kylie, you type in the chat like, Kylie, oh my God, I love you. And so it's a way to kind of virtually be together with the basis being bingo. And I got to say, it's probably my top 2 jobs, probably of all time. It is so much fun. It doesn't feel like work. They've been very good to me the last year and a half, and I get to practice hosting twice a week. I get to practice some improv, some jokes. It keeps me fresh, and it is something I look forward to, which is even advice I give on that show to people. They're like, you always seem so happy. I'm like, well, I really don't do any jobs, or I really like the way my week looks, the way my month looks. I look forward to like every single day I get up, because I don't really fully know what it brings. I think I have an idea sometimes, but you know, like today's Monday, by the end of Friday, there could be hopefully some jobs booked in between now and then that I have no idea about. But I do know that tomorrow and Friday I'll be playing bingo, and it kind of is like my tent pole of the week. And and that's been the most consistent job I've had out here. and one I just, I'm very grateful for it. It's very fun.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as I kind of grew up, like when my family will come over, I just remember I just remember us staying down watching TV and our phones playing this trivia game for money. I forget the trivia.
That was it. That was the one. Yep, that was it.
And we're just playing for money. This guy was talking, like he's like making jokes.
Scott,
like, okay, I
his
just
name was Scott.
And one of us, like whenever we get the question wrong, like once you answer the question wrong, you're out. You're done. Unless you have like lives or something. And I remember like one of my family members was being so mad, and we're like, "Oh, I just remember like she was getting so mad. She's like, "Oh, dang it!" Like it's like my favorite favorite thing every time. So I was like, "Well, I might as well play it now since that's the only thing my family's talking about." They don't play it anymore though, since like we have other things going on.
Oh, and it no longer exists anymore. It's gone now. But that's essentially what this is trying to capture, in not capture, but like the fan base right now, it's growing and it's about to pop. We can all feel it, and then some things happen on the back end in a good way. And like HQ Trivia, that became successful too because everyone remembers like Scott and a few of the other hosts. It's personal. And I love that type of work. And to be honest, that kind of surprised me. Hosting in retro, and this is like, I have a tattoo that it says you can't connect the dots looking forwards, you can only connect them looking backwards, because it's like you have to look back on your life to see where those dots led you. So I say I'm surprised I'm getting more into the hosting field or want to make a run being a professional host. But then when I look back and think, all right, the guy who hosted the Chuck E. Cheese parties, the guy who played the conductor on the Polar Express, the guy who got a degree in teaching. I mean, that's basically hosting, but in a different spectrum. You know what I mean? You're hosting a class. The guy hosting Live Play Bingo, doing the podcast, X, Y, Z, W, Q, W, you know what I mean? It's like those little things in the moment I just thought were like jobs, but those are things. And like I said, I don't really ever do a job I never enjoyed. And all of them lined up in the hosting spectrum. So I guess it's not a shocker now that that's what I like doing or am getting more into. But in the moment, I didn't call that hosting. At 17, I wasn't like, yeah, I'm a professional host, because I wasn't. But it took stacking up those jobs.
Yeah, for sure. So as we're kind of talking about hosting, you're the host of What's Going On podcast. What kind of made you want to start that, basically?
Well, great question. Yeah. So hopefully season 3 will be starting very soon. We took a long hiatus, but my buddy Jake and I, December 2019, right when I moved here, he is a film writer, screenwriter, script writer. He's very talented, and especially behind the scenes. And we were just like, why don't we start a podcast? Because kind of like what you're doing here, like it is so good to just create content because you just get practicing better and better and better. Like I'm sure when you started the podcast at 14, compared to now, your way of talking to people or of preparation, like you were so prepared for that. You sent me you gave me questions, you gave me links, you were on time. You know what I mean? Like that only comes from doing it over and over. So we were like, you know what? Let's just put it out there. And our plan is not to have this thing blow up. Our goal wasn't, let's start a podcast and make it the second biggest podcast in the world. Which I think is a terrible, if that's your basis of starting anything, is to have it become super popular, it's already most likely going to fail. It was to have fun. And he lived in Denver at the time. I lived in LA. And then my other friend lived in St. Louis. And we 3-way videoed it and hosted it on Squadcast. And it was a way for us to catch up, laugh, tell stories. And that's why it's called What's Going On, because it's like, what's going on in our life? And now looking back after the last 2 years, what a cool thing, because it documents kind of the highlights when we were doing it every week of my new life in LA, his life out in Denver. And it was just such a good way to connect. And what do you know? A small audience group, very small, very small. I'm not talking like tens of thousands of people. I'm talking like hundreds of people, but they liked the show, and that's very cool. And so we did it for ourselves. And that's why it's just another, you want to throw darts in the field of, and not entertainment. What's the word for that? Like creativity. That's another one. You know what I mean? And it's been really fun. So hopefully we start that back up again soon. Well, I don't say hopefully, we were supposed to do it yesterday.
Yeah, like once I first started it, I had basically no idea what I was getting myself into. That was like basically just ending my worst battle of my life with anxiety and depression. Like I didn't know what I was getting myself into. This was something that I was like, oh, I'll just try this out because I'm a person that quits things easily. So I'm thinking to myself like, oh, this is probably something I'm gonna quit easily. So I was like, oh, this is probably not gonna turn something I do regularly every week and stuff like that. So it probably won't last a couple episodes. And now, about almost a year later, I'm still doing this, and like I wasn't even prepared at all. I didn't know what I was doing, and now, like looking back on episodes, I'm thinking to myself, what the heck was I doing? Like, what the heck was I doing?
Isn't that funny when you look back and you're like, oh my God, why did I do that?
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, why did I say that? Like, why did I do that? Like, what? Like, I look back and like, okay, I'm just saying that. Sometimes I just want to delete the episode and be like, okay, I hate this episode right now. Like, I don't know. That's sometimes how I feel. And
we do that too. We have so many episodes in the trash can that aren't ever good. We call it the vault, and when we need content, we dig to the vault, but there's so many times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this went off the rails. I'm like, throw this away.
Yeah, and sometimes my family usually makes fun of me for some of them. Like when I say something, they usually make fun of me for it. And they keep saying it, I'm like, please be quiet. Like, I'm thinking of it again. Like, please, don't remind me.
Even as an adult, sometimes my mom will listen to a podcast and she's like, I can't believe you said the F word there. And I'm like, well, it's just, it happened. I was like, Mom, I'm not having a conversation with you, mother. Like, this is a completely separate entity. I just get a gas out of that every time. But yeah, no, so kind of very similar to you. I just wanted to see where it would go. And most importantly, I enjoyed doing it. And I enjoyed doing it with Jake and PJ. And it feels like I'm just hanging out with my friends because I am with them. And similar to hosting every week or doing other jobs, it keeps you fresh. You know what I mean? We always got new ideas. We're always trying new stuff on the show. And it's just been a great experience so far.
Oh, for sure. So do you have anyone that you look up to in the industry as like an actor or host or just kind of in general? Do you have anyone that you look up to?
Yes, I like this question. So twofold, hosting Bob Eubanks from the Newlywed Game, the 70s version. Have you seen that show before?
I heard of it. I've never seen it, but I heard of it.
Check out some clips on YouTube. It is, I think, so funny. When I was like 12, I used to I didn't fully understand everything on it, but he was such a good host and the people were laughing so hard. I love that for hosting. I always thought Bob Eubanks. I'm like, that's the man. Everyone loved him. He was great at his job. But for acting, definitely Robin Williams. So in a couple different facets on Robin Williams. And I know he's a popular choice, but I think he is one of the most genuine human beings that's been in the industry, just based on no one's really ever had terrible experiences with him. Dead Poets Society was part of what was a reason I got into both teaching and acting. That movie, I was like, well, teachers can have an impact every single day, which is amazing, and they can change people's lives. But what about the guy doing the acting that's seen by millions of people rather than 20, that has the ability to someone watch the video and go, I want to have that kind of impact on someone's life. So instead of changing like 20 lives, or like having the ability to, I shouldn't say just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you're changing lives. But having that ability, like when he was acting in it, how many people were like, I want to be that, you know what I mean? But on his personal note, I loved the story I heard about him. So he was always really good with his fans, to his fans. And there was a kid who wrote to him, and I think might have been right after Miss Doubtfire, and basically said, he really looks up to him. He makes him laugh so much. Thank you for everything you do. And I think he might have been sick at the time. I don't remember all the details of the story. But about 4 years later, that kid ended up, he was a little older. He must have been like 15, 16. And he saw Robin Williams somewhere, and he stopped him and he goes, Robin, you'll never believe it. And Robin wrote back to him. And he's like, thank you so much for writing back to me. That meant the world to me at the time. You're amazing. And before he even said that, Robin Williams was like, are you Kyle? Or after that, he said, are you Kyle? And he's like, oh my God, do you remember? And he pulled the letter out of his pocket that kid had wrote him. And he said he carried it with him because it made him, whenever he was feeling sad or lonely, he always read it. And I just thought that told me everything you kind of need to know about that guy, and especially with, you know, his depression and how his life ended. You know, I think it's tragically amazing that someone who was dealing with so much was able to make so many people so happy and just be incredibly talented. He also had the talent. So that is someone definitely who I got me into this industry as far as a role model. And, you know, fingers crossed, if things work out for me and it goes in a good direction, the type of person I would hope to be or have people talk about me like that. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. Robin, I basically grew up with Robin Williams. Like I see in Mrs. Doubtfire. Like there's so many movies. I grew up with Mrs. Doubtfire, and like me and my mom would watch it like a lot. And I just remember every time like he would come on to see like come in, and I would just start dying laughing every time he would come in. And I just don't know why, but he's made me laugh in a hysterical way. And so I basically grew up with him. Like there's so many people I look up to as a host, writer, blog, activist. Like Gina Davis hits me like home, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Dempsey, Pompeo Walsh, they all hit close to home. Like they're the reason why I want to be in the industry. Like they're the reason why I'm here and still want to do what I want to do. Like if it wasn't for the inspirations and what they do in terms of being in the industry and what they do and everything, I wouldn't be here. And for the inspirations, I would probably quit this right away. And so like the person that kind of hits me for podcasting is Dave Coulier. And no, not Dave Coulier. I don't know what the name I'm looking for, but Bob Saget. So,
Bob Saget.
Like I don't know why I said Dave Coulier. I was thinking of Cool House.
I was nodding. I was like, okay, where are we gonna go with this? All right.
Yeah, I don't know why I said Dave Coulier, but that's the first thing that popped in my mind. That's another cool star, but you know, I don't know why I said his name. I just had the first name that hit my head. But I basically grew up with Dave. I don't know. I was gonna say him again. And so I grew up with Bob Saget. So now basically a toddler. I grew up watching Full House every night. And so he was a really huge part of my life. Like he was something that made me laugh every night. I usually fall asleep too on TV. Like that's something I waited for. Come on TV, and my parents really got annoyed with me that I kept watching it every night, and they just kept annoyed with me that I kept watching it. And it's still Full House. I watch it every single day, and so that was something that I grew up doing every single day of my life. And he even started a podcast up until his death recently. And so like I listened to his podcast and he gave me inspiration of what I should do, and like kindness and all those things. He became such a big part of my life as I got older. Kind of grew learn more about him as I got older and his life and stuff like that. And like up until his passing earlier in January, I literally I didn't know he died until my dad like a couple minutes later. Like I was on my watching TV, I put my phone on, and my dad sent me a text about Bob Saget. It was like a little TMZ article or something. Yeah. And I was like,
it was so sudden.
Yeah, and I was like, it said I literally tapped on the photo and it's like Bob Saget has passed away. I'm like, what?
No, right? Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way.
Right.
And so I was like, I was in my room, so I was by myself. And so no one was in the room. I was in shock, and I was like, there's no way. Like this is probably fake. Like I was thinking to myself,
right. There's one of those fake ones.
Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, it's probably fake. Like don't take it really seriously. I was in a panic mode. I was like, don't tell me he passed away. Just don't tell me. This is not. I'm not in the mood for this right now. Like please. And so I literally looked up his name on Safari. I was like Bob Saget, and there's all articles saying passed away. You know, like 3 pages of it. I'm like. Immediately started bawling. I literally was having a panic attack. I was crying. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even go. I remember calling my grandma crying, and she's like, "Did you hear about my uncle getting like I forget what she said, but my uncle got 3 cats." And she said something. She's like, "Did you hear?" I'm like, "I know she meant about Bob Saget." So I was like, "Oh no." I'm so sad. I was literally sobbing on the phone.
She's like, no, the cat. Did you hear about the cat?
Oh, the cat. I'm like, oh, I didn't even not sobbing. I was literally sobbing on the phone. My dad came in the room. He's like, Kylie, why are you crying? I'm like, do you know how much it means to me? Like, do you know? And so I couldn't even go on social media because I was that upset. So I was like, every time I read something, an article, post about him or something, I was like, I can't. Like, I would start crying. I was like, I can't even sleep that night, to be honest. I couldn't sleep that night. And that was a hard night. I was like, first Betty White. And
I know that was a tragedy.
Like, this is what 2022 starts off with. Like,
right? Come on now, it's got to come up from here. It's got to only go up.
Yeah, I was like, I'm now thinking to myself, who's someone that I love gonna die next? Like,
well, it comes in threes, so that's two right there. They say that's a rule of three.
Yeah,
so,
three.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, now I'm thinking to myself, like, now I'm thinking to myself every day, like, who's gonna die next? Someone I
right?
Like, who's gonna die? And I'm not like thinking of it every day. I'm like, well, if someone dies next I love, well, then kind of screw it, you know?
Yeah, then whatever, just throw it away.
Yeah. So, what is some advice for younger generations that like to be in the industry one day?
Oh my God, yes. Advice for anyone in the industry. Don't stop hustling. Always remember you are your own best agent. So if you want to get into the industry, if you want to get into acting, into entertainment, into hosting, into commercials and movies and TVs and behind the scenes, I think the biggest thing to realize is that people make careers and there's hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of jobs for actors. So it's not impossible or crazy. I think a lot of people think I could never do that. You very much could do that if you put your mindset to it. It's just not very advertised because it's very oversaturated with people who want to do it. There's a difference between wanting and the ability to do it. So to maximize your success, the younger you start, the better. And here's what, in my opinion, a start is. Get those headshots done. All right, everyone talks about the headshots. You're gonna need the headshots. My first headshots were done by a friend for free. It was 28 degrees outside. We did them outside. Were they industry standard size? They were not. But I looked at them and I was like, there's no way I'm not going to get booked on the next big thing from these. In hindsight, like I said with that tattoo, looking back, awful headshots, right? They just weren't good. But neither of us knew that. And it didn't mean, and I liked it, like she was wonderful. I love, she's still a great friend of mine. They just weren't what was needed. But that was the spark, okay? Because then I had the headshots, you know what I mean? Then the ball's rolling now. Okay, now what do you do with the headshots? Do you just put them on Facebook and let your friends all say those look great? Or do you take those headshots and do you mail them or email them? And I mean mail, I mean, do you go print out 100 copies of these headshots, get the manila envelopes, write a cover letter to different agencies for talent, like commercial agencies, you know, mostly commercial, because depending on what city you're in, there might not be a lot. So, okay, say you're in Paducah, Kentucky. Most likely, there's not going to be a talent agency in Paducah, Kentucky. Your biggest city might be Louisville. Maybe they have one, right? Okay, if not Louisville, where are you close to? What proximity? Are you willing to go to the work to write the cover letter to this place? Attach your headshot, send it in the mail, get an agent. Now you can do this all online too. You can do this all via email. But if you throw 50 of them out there to different cities across the country, maybe you'll get represented somewhere, right? And it helps if you're in a larger city because you'll probably have one there. Like St. Louis isn't a huge market, but there's 3 or 4 talent agencies in St. Louis. So got your headshot, you got an agent, okay, good. Take some classes, read some books about acting. It is a job like anything else, and there's some people who are gifted with just the ability to not put in any work and they're good at it. It's not many people. Put in the work, put in the time, but don't lay off the gas pedal. And realistically, early on, and like either if you go to college or don't go to college, you're going to have to get out to either LA or New York. And that's kind of it to start off. Yes, Atlanta is a hotbed for filming, but they cast a lot in LA and New York. And it's not even so much, and also some good advice. Don't think you're going to move out to one of these cities, and in a couple months, you will be starring in the biggest new show on Netflix. That is unfortunately not how it works.
Mhm.
Be thankful for every little job you book. And when I mean you, don't forget you are your own best agent. Because right now, even though it's been 2 years and I'm making my money as a host, an actor, a commercial model, I have some big jobs, decent jobs for my agents. I am my own, I'm booking my best work myself. The game show I fully got through me. There's different sites out in LA people use to get work. Don't think that just because once I got the 2 agents I have now, you know, plenty of people are content. I got the agents, I got the manager. They're going to get me all the work. Are they though? Because be realistic. No one knows my name out here. I still need to build up my portfolio for TV film. And you just have to keep pressing the gas pedal. So that job that is $200 for the day that they want to book you to wear a coat for something, absolutely, thank you. And what time do I need to show up? Stack that in there. The $400 job that's kind of boring and it's all day, thank you very much. What time can I show up? Anyone who's willing to have you on camera, these connections that you make, yes, it might be a silly job. You might never hear from them again. But I'm noticing this year, or since the start of the second half of last year, I'm getting some decent work based on just other jobs I've done in the past. They're like, hey, we're doing some, Google shoot. They need skin tone. Are you free for an hour that pays $1,000? Yes. Oh, and they only have my email because I worked on that little junker that was $150 for 4 hours that I felt was underpaid. So if you want to, so get out there, take the classes, get all your work done, but don't be afraid when you make the move to the big city to take those little jobs. And I know I've talked a lot on this one here, but don't get distracted from your purpose of being out here. I found that when I first got here, I was applying to everything under the sun. I was working so much. I was making a lot of money, but I, was working almost in the wrong direction in certain places. I was so busy, I wasn't enjoying life. So I needed to take a break and take jobs that allowed me to do my hosting job and my acting without consuming me. A lot of my friends or people I meet out here that are, actors or dancers, they get sucked into some job because it's paying their rent and it's expensive to live out here. And then when I talk to them and ask, how's your auditions going? What classes are you taking? It's like they haven't done anything. And I'm thinking of one person in particular when I'm thinking of this. It's like they haven't done anything for a year. Okay, now at that point, you're no longer trying to be an actor or an actor. You are just now an employee of X company, if it's like Starbucks or whatever, and you happen to live in Los Angeles. So just don't forget why you're here. And just like you're doing now, keep creating content, podcasting, just anything, you know what I mean? Just keep putting it out there, and then do not be, your goal when you want to be an actor should be to be a working actor, I believe. I don't want to be rich and famous from acting. If that happens, whatever. I want to make my money either hosting shows or acting in projects that I care about, hopefully. But when I got into this, it wasn't that I wanted 200 million followers on Instagram. You know what I mean? I didn't want, that didn't make me happy. So if that's your goal, is to just be famous, and it might sound harsh, but if that's your goal, anyone listening, to be famous, think about a different career path, because that's not it. This isn't it. You have to love what you do, because if you look at my Instagram, you'll see some cool jobs, some fun things. How about the 20 jobs I didn't post that are really lame and boring, but they paid? So I know that had about 10 different pieces in there, but that was kind of my condensed version of something I could probably talk about for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's something I always wanted to be something that I wanted to be known. I wanted to be one of the next people, kind of like Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer Aniston, The Rock. I wanted to be one of those people. I wanted to be well known. I wanted to get I just wanted to do something. I just wanted my life to be like that, because that's kind of what I wanted my life to go for. And so I was like, how am I supposed to be famous if I don't know what to do? And so
Yeah.
like when I started the podcast, like I immediately became obsessed. Like I fell in love with it, and I was like, okay, I can become a famous person from this. I might only get 100 listeners or a couple, like I might not get a lot of listeners on each episode. That's fine. That always go. All that matters is, you love what you do. Time goes on, like you grow popular with your episodes every day. Like,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so.
And actually, Kylie, that what you just said there is something I'm very guilty of doing the last couple of years, is downplaying your accomplishments. So you're like, I might only have 100. Girl, that's 100 listeners, and you have a podcast that's, who knows where it's gonna go, but like you created that, and you know, you found me, brought me in here, and you're bringing in other people. That's something I do too. Is I'm like, well, I host this show, but we only have like 1,000 people playing every time. And it's like, why do we need to include only in there? It's like, no, you host this, you created it. And like when I talk about my show now, I'm like, yes, I host a game show and we have X, Y, and Z. But like even when I was interviewing my first agent out here for my first agent, they stopped me because they were like, they're like, what's your work? And I was like, well, I've done this big commercial and this. And I was like, but you know, I don't have any national commercials. And you know, so I don't have any like big like $50,000 jobs. But I've done this, and he's like, stop. He's like, I just wanted to know if you've been on set and if you have experience. And what he's like, you just downplayed the crap out of yourself. Don't do that. And I was like, oh, that's a really good point, because I tend to do that, and I don't know why. Because maybe it's because I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or have a big ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that would be advice. Yeah, don't down. But that just caught me because I do that so much. And you should be so proud of this. It's amazing.
Thank you. And so when I often overthink, like sometimes I think I don't know if I should be doing this still, because I'm not getting a lot of listeners. Not a lot. I've never done like I don't get like I kind of wish I got more attention on the podcast. Kind of wish I got more listeners, and that's not the point. If you get more guests on, like doesn't matter if they have 100,000, like couple thousand, like followers, just try to get them on, get their platform on your podcast and grow from there. As more guests you have on, the more your platform grows. That's kind of what I learned as time went on. I overthink. Like when I first early on started, I used to overthink, like, oh, this is not what I expected. I'm not getting a lot of listeners. Like, this is horrible. I hate this. And so like I remember I talked to my mom. I was like, Mom, like, why am I not getting a lot of listeners? Like, I want to be big one day. That's what I want to do. I want to become big and well known. And she's like, Kylie, you literally just started a couple of weeks
right.
and
right.
So
It's a baby. It's a baby.
It takes time to learn. Right. Yes, you're still starting out, but it takes time. One day, someone one of your idols, like Gina Davis or Hugh Jackman, will reach out to you and tell you that they love what you do and that you're inspiring. They love you on the podcast. I'm like, well, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm hoping. Like that's a dream of mine. Like
absolutely. And it seems like you enjoy, or it seems like you enjoy what you do with the show too, which is the most important part. Because it will come. Trust me, it will come. It's the frustrating part is waiting and sitting in it. But it'll if you keep doing it, I absolutely try, and I have to believe that for myself too, and what I'm doing. Like I want, tomorrow I want to be auditioning for this new Hulu show, right? But I'm not there yet, and I have to trust if I keep down this path and keep working, that'll come. So trusting the unknown it's scary, but you don't. What's that? Oh, there's some expression I really like. Just basically about, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you keep, I don't even think that's it. I don't know what, I lost my train of thought. That's not, I had a really good one. I really liked it, but I lost it.
Yeah, like it's like when I'm down or need inspiration, I'll go to Dwayne Johnson's song that Face Off, and I often think it's like the song. One of the things, the lyrics that sticks out to me is what is it? And put in the work and put in hours. Hours. So that's what the one that hits out to me, because if you put the work in and put some
10,000 hours by Macklemore, or what is it? It might be. It's probably used in a couple different songs.
Yeah, it's like put hours, like take time to do what you do, put time and hours into your work, and that's what I do. Like every time I need to, like kind of like when I'm down and I still feel good about myself, like about what I do, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm gonna play this song. And when I'm listening to the song, I just need to come on my computer and write down ideas. Like helps me. I literally put what I told you kind of earlier about my book. I'm like writing constantly for hours.
Oh, that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah, amazing. That's so like that. See, like you're a hustler. You have it. You have what a lot of people are missing, and that's the not just the drive or the good. Like a lot of people are gonna like, oh, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. It's like, oh no, but like I host and run this podcast, and by the way, I'm almost done with my first book. And you know what I mean? And people, that's really, you should be very proud of that. That's very, very great. That's amazing.
Thank you. And it's like I'm always working. I'm always doing something, either if it's doing a podcast, writing, like ending gender bias in the media. I don't know what the word I was working like trying to think of. Hanging out with friends, family, like make my own website, which I launched about almost a month ago. I'm always doing something with myself. I'm either going to family events, hanging with friends, going out, doing stuff. Like I'm always doing something.
And so that's at the core what it takes to make it in this industry is people who are willing and are able to just work in different directions, but smart directions just like that. Because eventually one of those outlets is going to hit different in a way you don't see coming. And that's going to branch off, boom, you know, to all different ways. You know, maybe it's the book, maybe it's the podcast, maybe it's the acting, maybe it's this, one of those. And that's where you've got to trust the process moving forward. It's a numbers game. And that's what I tell people. It is, auditions are a numbers game. If I submit to 100, I hope to hear back from 10 and I hope to book 3. So with different, so I think we're on the same track on that. That's really great. This was really good.
No, thank you. So the final question for the interview is, how are the amazing roles you played, like commercials, acting, and otherwise, like what role has kind of meant the most to you?
Ooh, great question. Actually, I thought about this one for quite a bit. You know, there's part of me that wanted to say the couple months I spent teaching middle school was the most important part I played, but then I think that's just doing lip service. I think that's just a good answer, but I don't think that's the truth. Then there's the ketchup Kyle who drove the Wienermobile. I loved that part. I really did. He was an amazing person. But I think when I look back, I'm going to go with conductor Ali Board. Conductor Ali Board was the live action version of the Polar Express, this train ride I did in St. Louis. It was an improv show. It was a live show. We did 4 shows a night on a moving train, basically the story of the Polar Express done in real life. I liked that one because a lot of the families went, but the kids were young enough to like be kind of sucked into this is like almost real. And when you get that hole puncher out there and you're like going crazy on the tickets, I felt like, and especially because like I'm a Christmas queen, like I love Christmas, that whole season. It just makes me feel like there was moments after that job ended that I just got home and was like, I made that really special for that person. And it's, again, that kind of sounds egotistical, but like I would be like, because there'd be moments where like I would buy some stuff on my own from like a movie to give to like these little kids. I love seeing like people who are appreciative of like the extras or someone who's, and that's what I liked about the Wienermobile. People would, you could just tell who were like really into it, but also like very kind. And those are the people that would get the really cool giveaways that no one knew about. But back to the train, like I just loved having that Christmas magic moment, the ability to create it and change people's day. Or when someone comes up to you and says, you were the highlight of our day, like you made us laugh uncontrollably, or you made my kid, like you don't even, like people like moms or dads would come up after something would happen, whether it was a special giveaway or something, and they would like look at me and like, you don't know how long our kid is going to talk about that for. He's like, they are going to ring that that bell you gave him, he's gonna ring that for like they're like, you don't even know. So moments like that were more frequent on the train than I think every other job, just because it was story based. And that, I guess, for now is probably my favorite character I've ever played. But I do have an upcoming movie. My first feature film's coming out, hopefully in April. Picked up, fingers crossed, by Netflix, but it'll be cool with whoever goes on it. Could be any of the streaming services. I played Jake, a reporter for our main character. So Ali Mo, or conductor for the Polar Express, probably funnest and most memorable, most thankful for, is definitely this upcoming job and my first feature, because it's been 2 years in LA, and this will be my this is one of those like milestone moments, you know, one of those where I'm like, okay, like I don't know where it's gonna end, but this shows me I need to keep moving.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Like my favorite moment is like kind of what you said, like people coming up to you and telling you like how much they made your day. That's literally something I love. Or receiving messages. Like I often, like when I'm out, like out and about doing something with my father, or just out with friends or something, or just kind of doing something with myself, walk around the block, because I live in like a little neighborhood. And so like I walk around the block, riding my bike or something, just to get active and just to do something to myself busy. And people will come up to me often and be like, Kylie, what you're doing is amazing. Like I want to start podcasts on my own. Like these are what you do. Like things so much. I'm thinking to myself like, okay, there's nothing better than this.
Isn't that amazing? I know, that's such a good feeling, right?
Receive messages about it, and like my friends, like people I don't even know, or people reach out on Instagram tell me about it. How much it impacted, and this kind of melts my heart, thinking myself like, okay, this is awesome. Like I never kind of expected to impact this many lives, even though I'm just a small girl from a small town, hosting her own podcast and trying to live out her dreams in the entertainment industry. So I was like, okay, this is amazing. And I know I wouldn't be here without the support. That's really out for everyone, basically. And this is like amazing thing. Like, okay, I'm very
I even have a little folder on my phone. Forgot to bring this up. I think it's got over 100 something messages now, but whether they be just from friends I haven't talked to since middle school, people that I know decently well, and a lot of fans from Live Play Bingo who send me just the kindest messages out of the blue. Whether it be I post a story of an Instagram story, oh, you know, like on set today or filming this, or even something silly, and they'll just be like, you know, Kyle, you're doing incredible. I really believe in you. And especially the bingo people, with the bingo fans, they're just like, you make my week, like when I see you. And to realize that while it's on a small scale, it's not on the millions or hundreds of thousands, it doesn't matter, because it's on the one-on-one scale where one person's have, and I think, and then it is mutual, because I get those, and that's why I save them, because I'm like, you know, whenever I need a pick-me-up or something, I look at that and I'm like, you know, it's just, to me, so cool to think that this is my job. Like this is what I get to do. And yes, it's not big yet. We're not huge by any means, but if I can get consistent work like what I'm doing now for the rest of my life, I would have no regrets, because I am so happy I made the decision to move out here. And I guess we'll wrap it up. That's my last piece of advice, is if you're thinking about it, if you're thinking about making the move, or if you want to get into the industry, or go ahead and do it, because life is short, and promise you're not going to regret trying it, especially if you're young, and like if you're not going to school, if you're 18, 19, do it, because what else are you missing out on? But if you finish school and want to do it like I did, 1,000,000%, because you're going to get tied down with maybe a job you don't love, maybe a relationship that you love or don't love, maybe a family coming soon, and you're going to always wonder what if. And I'm very thankful that, at least for now, I don't have to wonder what if.
Yeah, for sure. So I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so great talking to you. You're amazing. I can really talk to you all day and different topics. But I just want to thank you so much for coming on. It's so great to speak with you, and if you will definitely speak soon for sure.
Well, thank you, Kylie. You should be very proud of the work you're doing right now. This is it's truly incredible. Congrats on the book. Thank you for having me on. And we want to do this again in 6 months, let me know. We'll follow up.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let me know. Send me a message. We'll plan it. So
All right.
so everyone, look forward to another episode, part 2. That's it for sure. So it was great seeing you.
See you, Kylie. Have a good one, babe.
You too.